Most women think men fall in love with what they see, but the truth is, it's what they feel around you that keeps them hooked. You can be beautiful, successful, kind, and still leave a man emotionally indifferent. But when you know how to tap into the right emotional triggers, he doesn't just like you, he craves you. Not because you're playing games, but because you make him feel something he can't find anywhere else. Let's break down the 4 powerful emotional switches that make a man not just interested, but emotionally addicted. When it comes to emotional attraction, the kind that keeps a man thinking about you long after the conversation ends, one of the most powerful forces at play is the experience of being understood. Not just listened to, not just nodded at, truly understood. See, most men walk through the world feeling like they have to constantly put on a performance. They show confidence, strength, and composure, not because that's how they always feel, but because that's what they think they're supposed to project. Very few people ever stop to look past that image. Even fewer take the time to genuinely understand what's going on beneath the surface. And that's where you become unforgettable. When a man meets a woman who can read between the lines, who notices his hesitation even when he's trying to hide it behind a smile, or who senses when something's wrong even if he swears he's fine, it sends a jolt through his emotional system. Suddenly, he's not performing anymore. He's being seen, and not for the version he presents to the world, but for who he actually is. That kind of connection is incredibly rare for men, and when it happens, it creates a shift. He begins to associate you with emotional safety. He doesn't have to be the provider or problem solver around you. He gets to just be. And that's a feeling most men don't even know they've been craving until they experience it. The fascinating part is this: you don't have to fix him or give him advice. In fact, that's not the point at all. The power comes from your presence, your attention to detail, and your ability to reflect back to him what he's not saying. It's in the little things. The way you ask a second question when he brushes off the first one. The way you pause and say, "You don't have to tell me now, but if something's bothering you, I'm here." It's when you notice that his tone changed, even though his words didn't. These are the moments that build emotional intimacy without either of you even realizing it at first. And here's the part most people miss. This kind of understanding doesn't mean you become his therapist or emotional crutch. Quite the opposite. It means you're tuned in, but still grounded in your own sense of self. You're able to hold space for his truth without losing yourself in it. That's what makes it magnetic. Because he doesn't feel judged or analyzed, he just feels seen. He's not being studied, he's being recognized. When a man feels like a woman gets him, without him having to explain everything or wear a mask, that emotional connection becomes addictive. Not because she's feeding his ego, but because she's offering something no one else is. A mirror that reflects his truth, in a safe, respectful, and emotionally intelligent way. That's a bond that goes beyond surface attraction. It's the kind of bond that sticks, that lingers, that keeps him coming back even when life gets chaotic. And ironically, the deeper the connection, the less he wants to hide. He starts to share more without even realizing he's doing it. That wall he built around his emotions, it starts to lower slowly, naturally, not because you tore it down, but because you gave him a reason to open the door on his own. That moment when he catches himself telling you things he's never told anyone else, That's not coincidence. That's the trigger of emotional understanding in action. And once he feels it, he'll never forget where it came from. One of the deepest emotional triggers that make a man truly invested, borderline addicted, is the realization that the woman he desires is not afraid to walk away. It's counterintuitive because we often think closeness is built by staying, by always being available, by proving we care no matter what. But the truth is, emotional value is built when a man realizes you will not stay if your needs are not being met. That realization doesn't push him away, it pulls him closer, because it forces him to see your presence as something earned, not guaranteed. There's something incredibly powerful about a woman who knows her worth, not just in words, but in action. A woman who communicates with her energy that she won't beg, won't chase, and definitely won't settle. This doesn't mean she's cold or distant. In fact, she might be the warmest, most loving person he knows. But that warmth isn't unconditional. It's offered to those who reciprocate, who show up, who match her energy. When a man senses that boundary, it creates a kind of tension. The good kind, the kind that makes him realize he can't drift through the connection passively. He has to participate. He has to show effort. Because if he doesn't, she'll be gone. And not in a dramatic, emotional outburst kind of way. She'll simply remove herself, quietly and with dignity. This emotional stance triggers something ancient in the male psyche. Men are wired to pursue, to earn, to prove. When a man senses that your love isn't automatic, that it's offered but not owed, he's forced to decide whether he's going to step up or step aside. And that moment of decision is critical, because if he chooses to step up, he's now emotionally invested. He's chosen to work for something, and what we work for, we value. What we value, we protect. And what we protect, we keep close. Now, this isn't about playing games or pretending to be disinterested when you're actually all in. It's about having the self-respect to not hold space for someone who isn't choosing you fully. A lot of people confuse this with manipulation, but it's actually the opposite. It's clarity. It's the understanding that love should flow both ways, and if it doesn't, you're willing to walk away, not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough not to settle for emotional crumbs. When a man sees that you're not afraid of being alone, it changes the dynamic. Suddenly, you're not just another woman hoping he chooses you, you're a woman who's already chosen herself. And that kind of confidence is rare. It's not loud or flashy. It's quiet, calm, and unwavering. It doesn't demand attention, it naturally commands it. Because it tells him, without a single word, "You're not my only option. You're only my choice if you choose me right." The moment he senses that he could lose you, not because you're threatening to leave, but because you actually would, he starts to reevaluate everything. He becomes more thoughtful with his time, more intentional with his words, more present when he's with you. And not because you forced him to, but because you created the emotional environment where only a fully invested version of him could exist. Anything less would mean losing access to you, and that loss, once he's truly experienced your presence, feels too high a price to pay. What makes this trigger so effective is that it doesn't require you to say much. It's not about confrontation or ultimatums. It's about your energy, your standards, your silence when something doesn't feel right. That silence speaks louder than any lecture. It says, "I'm not waiting around for someone to figure out my worth." And the right man, he'll feel that, and he'll move quickly to make sure he never has to feel what life would be like without you in it. There's something uniquely powerful about a woman who knows how to keep a man emotionally engaged, not through pressure, persuasion, or performance, but through mystery. And this mystery isn't about playing games or being distant for the sake of control. It's about letting there always be something more to discover. See, most connections burn fast and fade quickly because they become too predictable. A man feels like he knows everything about the person in front of him within days, and once that curiosity dies, so does the intensity of his attention. Emotional addiction requires curiosity, and curiosity thrives on the unknown. When a woman keeps certain layers of herself sacred, not hidden but reserved, she creates space for discovery. She shares herself generously, but not all at once. She lets a man earn the deeper parts of her world. Maybe she's warm and open, but not immediately vulnerable. Maybe she's playful and kind, but also has moments where she retreats into her thoughts, giving him a glimpse that there's more going on beneath the surface. That kind of behavior doesn't frustrate a man, it intrigues him. It makes him want to lean in, to understand, to explore. He starts to think, there's something about her I can't quite figure out. And that's the point. Because that not knowing is what keeps him emotionally involved. Men are naturally drawn to challenge, not in a combative sense, but in the sense that they want to feel like they're slowly uncovering something valuable. When everything is handed over immediately, there's no sense of achievement, no story being written. But when he feels like every conversation, every shared moment reveals just a little more of who you are, it builds anticipation. That anticipation is addictive. It's what makes him replay your words, wonder what you're thinking, and come back looking for more. What many women misunderstand is that mystery doesn't mean being aloof or cold. It simply means not revealing every detail about yourself too soon. It means letting him experience you instead of explaining yourself constantly. It's in the way you tell a story just enough to pull him in, but leaving him curious. It's in how you allow silence to exist in a conversation, letting it breathe rather than rushing to fill it. That kind of energy suggests depth. And depth is irresistible when a man is used to surface-level attention. Another key aspect of mystery is unpredictability, not in your values or intentions, but in how you show up. One day you're sharing a thoughtful perspective he never expected. The next, you're dancing around the kitchen or laughing at something ridiculous. That unpredictability creates contrast. And contrast is one of the most powerful emotional hooks in human psychology. We remember people who surprise us. We stay intrigued by those who can't be neatly labeled. When you allow yourself to be multidimensional, soft but strong, quiet but expressive, grounded but spontaneous, you become someone he can't pin down. And not being able to pin you down makes him want to stay close, just to try. Mystery also communicates self-respect. It shows that you don't feel the need to prove yourself through overexposure. You know your worth isn't in how much you give away, but in what you choose to reveal at the right time. That restraint is elegant. It tells a man that while he may have your attention, he doesn't have your full access just yet. And that sense of not having conquered all of you, that's what keeps his mind turning and his heart reaching, because in a world full of instant gratification, The slow burn of real emotional discovery is what sets you apart. There's a specific kind of vulnerability that doesn't make a woman look weak, it makes her magnetic. It's the kind that comes from strength, self-awareness, and emotional maturity. When a woman shares her heart not because she's seeking validation, but because she trusts herself enough to be seen, something powerful happens. A man feels invited, not just into her life, but into her world. And that kind of invitation hits deeper than physical attraction. It reaches a place in him that doesn't often get touched. The part that wants to matter to someone beyond what he can do or provide. Most men live with the pressure of always being strong, composed, and emotionally in control. They're taught to protect, to fix, to show up without faltering. But deep down, many of them crave moments where they can just feel something real. And that desire only comes alive when someone creates a space where honesty and openness are allowed. When a woman is real about what scares her, what excites her, what she dreams of. Not in a way that demands anything from him, but in a way that says, "This is who I am, and I trust you with it." He feels a rare form of intimacy. It's not just connection, it's access. That kind of vulnerability doesn't look like oversharing or using emotion as a tactic to gain sympathy. It looks like quiet moments of truth. Saying, "I've been through things that made me guarded, but I'm choosing to be open again." Or admitting, "Sometimes I overthink because I care more than I want to admit." These aren't cries for attention. They're windows into the human experience. And when those windows open, a man instinctively leans in. He starts to see her not as a puzzle to solve, but as a person to know. That shift creates depth, and depth is what anchors emotional addiction. It also activates a natural instinct in him, the desire to protect. Not in a possessive way, but in a loyal, emotionally invested way. When a man sees a woman who is both strong and soft, confident yet honest about her struggles, he doesn't see weakness, he sees trust. And when he feels trusted, it makes him feel needed in a way that's healthy, not draining. Men don't want to feel like they're responsible for someone's happiness, but they do want to feel like they matter, like their presence impacts your world. Vulnerability gives them that experience, not because you need them to complete you, but because you're letting them complement the journey you're already on. The magic lies in balance. You're not emotionally dumping, you're sharing with grace. You're not begging for him to fix you, you're allowing him to witness you. That energy makes a man feel connected in a way that's hard to find elsewhere. It makes him want to open up too. Slowly, you create a space where honesty becomes the default. The wall between you starts to lower, not because you're tearing his down, but because you had the courage to lower yours first. That's how emotional safety is built. And when a man feels safe emotionally, he stops seeing you as just someone he dates. He starts seeing you as someone who gets him. Someone he doesn't want to lose. This kind of connection doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't push, it invites. And that invitation is irresistible to the kind of man who's been searching for something deeper without even knowing it. When vulnerability is handled with strength and self-respect, it becomes one of the most powerful emotional triggers a woman can offer. It opens the door for love that doesn't just exist, it grows, anchors, and stays. Because when a man feels that kind of access to your heart, he won't just want to be around you. He'll feel like he needs to be. A powerful emotional trigger that keeps a man coming back for more is the feeling that he is inspiring you. Men are deeply moved by the idea that they can positively impact a woman's life, not by controlling it, but by being a source of growth, motivation, and purpose. When a man senses that he brings out something greater in you, he doesn't just feel appreciated, he feels important. And importance, for a man, is one of the most addictive emotional experiences he can have. Most people believe men just want to be admired for their strength or success. But admiration alone isn't enough. What creates emotional investment is the feeling that who he is and how he shows up actually matters to you in a meaningful way. It's when you light up talking about your goals and casually say, "That conversation we had the other day really pushed me to take the next step." Or when you tell him, "You make me want to be braver." Those moments strike a deep emotional chord. They let him know he's not just passing time in your life, he's contributing to it. Men don't often get told they're a source of inspiration. They might get compliments on their looks or success, but rarely do they hear that who they are has made someone else believe in themselves more. When you reflect that kind of energy back to a man, it creates a loop of emotional value. He uplifts you, you reflect that light back, and now he wants to give even more. Not because you asked, but because he feels seen in a way he doesn't often experience. That sense of being the catalyst to your evolution makes him feel powerful in the best possible way. It builds pride, connection, and a sense of ownership in the story you're both creating. This doesn't mean you pretend to be influenced just to flatter him. That's surface level and easy to detect. What keeps it real and impactful is when it comes from genuine self-growth. You don't need to make him the center of your world, but you show him that he's a meaningful part of it. He sees that being around him doesn't take from you, it adds to you. And that addition is where the emotional high lives. The important part is how you communicate it. It's not about being overly sentimental or pouring praise on him. It's in the subtle, honest ways you let him know. You make me want to stretch beyond where I've been. That could be him helping you think differently, challenging you to stop doubting yourself, or even showing you through his own actions what resilience looks like. Whatever it is, when you acknowledge that influence, it tells him his presence in your life has real weight. And for a man who wants to feel purposeful, that's everything. Another layer to this is how you respond to his effort. When a man sees that his advice, his support, or just his way of thinking actually helps you improve your life, he feels effective. And effectiveness is a quiet driver behind so much of male motivation. If he feels like he makes you better, not because you need fixing, but because he enhances your path, he becomes emotionally invested in your journey. He wants to keep showing up. He wants to be that source, again. This isn't about placing him on a pedestal. It's about letting him know that you value how he thinks, who he is, and the way he shows up, not just for you, but for himself. When you show a man that his presence expands you rather than contains you, he doesn't just like being with you. He becomes drawn to the version of himself that comes alive when he's with you, and that feeling is powerful. It's what keeps him emotionally tethered, even when you're apart. It's what keeps him choosing you again and again, because he doesn't just love you, he loves who he becomes when he's around you. One of the most underrated yet powerful emotional triggers that keeps a man deeply connected is playfulness. It's the feeling of lightness, unpredictability, and joy that makes him associate being with you as an escape from pressure, not another source of it. When a man feels like he can laugh, tease, and let his guard down around you, it creates something even deeper than attraction. It creates comfort, and not the boring kind of comfort, the addictive kind, the kind that makes him miss you when life gets too serious or overwhelming. Men, more than they'll ever admit, long for spaces where they don't have to be in control all the time, where they can laugh like kids, be silly without judgment, and experience moments that don't require effort. A playful energy gives him that. It brings out a version of him that doesn't exist in most environments. He stops thinking about what to say next or how he's being perceived. He just is. And when a man feels like he can be his raw, unpolished self around someone, he starts to emotionally associate that person with peace. That kind of emotional bond is not only rare, it's unforgettable. What makes playfulness so powerful is that it doesn't depend on looks, wealth, or status. It's a vibe, a tone, a way of communicating that says, "You don't have to impress me, you just have to be real." It's in the sarcastic remarks, the inside jokes, the random challenges you throw at him for no reason other than to have fun. It's in the way you dance in the kitchen or make faces during serious conversations just to break the tension. These small, seemingly silly moments build something massive, emotional attachment, because they give him something he doesn't get in most places, a reminder that life doesn't always have to be heavy. Is a kind of intimacy that forms when two people can play. It's different from passion, though it often fuels it. It's different from deep conversation, though it often opens the door to it. Playfulness acts like glue. It connects people through shared joy and mutual presence. It's a break from the routine. It's the part of a relationship that stays even when everything else is complicated. And for a man who's used to being the rock, the provider, or the one who always has to be strong, that playful connection becomes his emotional reset. He starts craving it. Not just wanting it, needing it. What's more, playfulness creates contrast. When a woman can be both emotionally intelligent and completely goofy, both graceful and mischievous, it adds dimension. It makes her feel unpredictable in the best way. And unpredictability, when grounded in safety and connection, is one of the strongest emotional hooks there is. It keeps a man from falling into routine. It keeps him curious. It keeps him wondering, what's she going to do or say next? And that curiosity turns into engagement, attention, and affection. Being playful doesn't mean acting immature or never being serious. It means knowing when to bring the light, when to flip the mood, when to grab his hand in public and skip instead of walk, or surprise him with a ridiculous dare, or turn a mundane moment into a memory. Those are the things he remembers, not the perfectly scripted dates or long talks about the future, but the laugh you let out when you teased him, the grin you gave when you caught him off guard, the way you made fun of each other without ever crossing a line. That feeling becomes a craving. And when a man realizes that you bring that light into his life, not by effort, but by simply being you, he starts to associate you with happiness itself. He doesn't just enjoy your presence, he depends on it. Because in a world full of expectations, stress, and seriousness, you become the moment he looks forward to most. And that emotional experience? That's what turns interest into obsession, connection into commitment, and time together into something he'll do anything to keep. When it comes down to it, emotional connection isn't about playing games, chasing validation, or performing to be liked. It's about creating an experience. An experience that touches a man not just on the surface, but at his emotional core. When you trigger his protective instincts through appreciation, spark his curiosity with mystery, open his heart through vulnerability, make him feel significant by showing he inspires you and bring joy into his life through playfulness, you create a bond that goes far beyond physical attraction. You give him something most men don't even realize they're searching for: emotional meaning. That's what makes him stay. That's what makes him addicted. Because it's not just that he enjoys being around you, it's that he feels more like himself when he is, and once a man feels that, there's no substitute. No one else feels like home.